I remember visiting the Excalibur when I was a kid, but the only thing I can remember was a milkshake topped off with whipped cream and of course, a red cherry on top. But what struck me the most was the cup. It was tall, shiny and gold, and with the Excalibur logo in the middle. So going back as an adult was gonna fill in the rest of the missing puzzle for me. What the heck did the Excalibur even look like on the inside? And that is what I'm gonna do with this video. Explore. Starting with the check-in process, it was pretty normal, except I got charged an early check-in fee, which didn't happen at the 5 other hotels on my trip. You win some, you lose some, as my dog says. Anyway, walking from the check-in counter to the hotel room was very underwhelming with nothing that stood out. I had a feeling this was going to be one of those hotels where the outside appearance was going to be the most exciting feature about it. So on my disappointing walk to the room, everything from the elevator lobby to the hallways just sucked away my enthusiasm. So far, there was just a lack of oomph to the experience. When I had finally gotten to my room, it had fancy looking numbers. So I guess there was still hope after all. But once I got inside, yeah, no. It was not an exciting place to be with nothing memorable. It was just your average looking hotel room. And look, someone went around the hallway sliding pizza coupons under the door. Cheesy. Anyways, the bathroom was pretty average, except for the picture frame of something I never quite figured out. Was it silver deer antlers or were they tree roots? I'll never know. Interestingly, there was a shower, not a tub, with a sliding door. Nice. Next to the bathroom was a closet with the usuals to hang your suit of armor or suit and tie. I gotta say, even though I was disappointed with the lack of theming in this room, it was still a decent looking place I'd see at a regular schmegler hotel. The lamps on the sides of the bed provided good mood lighting along with the light strip along the headboard. They definitely made the room less dull looking. Although there were no USB ports, so I had to use my own power adapter. Now, the weirdest part of this room was this corner with its own overhead lamp. The couch was awkward to relax on because there wasn't an ottoman to relax my legs on top of. And the extra lamp didn't feel necessary because there was already a bedside lamp literally right there. The room had an old school AC unit, but hey, it worked. And that's all that mattered on a chilly autumn night. The outside view was pretty meh. Although if I looked hard enough, I could see my neighbors on the other side probably thinking the same thing I was. What a crummy view. The other corner of the room had a hefty table to place my stuff, including the even heftier dresser under the TV, where I placed random things I had collected on my trip. Oddly enough, the mini fridge was removed. I noticed the same thing at the New York, and still don't understand why this is a thing. It just is, I guess. To the side was a huge full-body mirror for me to do my morning Vegas routine. Now, let's get to the meh parts of the room. Starting with the TV. The home screen was super old, like 90s old, because it was still advertising the Spice Girls. But I was able to watch Friends, so the TV was pretty alright. What wasn't alright though was the wet phone earpiece. I wanted to believe it was from the cleaning and not the last person's slimy earballs. Parts of the bathroom were dirty or falling apart, but I expected much worse for this old looking room unless it was just renovated. Yeah, probably that. But what was the number one worst thing about the room? It looked like it hadn't been vacuumed in a while, with crumbs here and there. So yeah, that was the worst possible thing I could nitpick about the room, after trying my hardest not to like it. But actually, I thought it was pretty okay. It's definitely not a room I'd look forward to coming back to, considering this is somewhat on the Vegas Strip. And there are far better renovated rooms that don't look like they're stuck in the 2000s. Now let's talk about the casino. It was much better themed than the hotel side, thank Excalibur. Each entrance was beautifully designed as if we were inside a castle with the top jaggedy lines that gave it that signature, hey, it's a castle, look. Along the stone walls were these super cool looking knights in their shiny armor that I couldn't help but take pictures with. The rest of the casino had colorful stained glass art and the wooden doors leading behind stone walls into dungeons for the biggest troublemakers, or so I like to believe. All mixed with the beautiful sound of slot machines going off in the background. Personally, I loved it. Did I mention there was a Magic Mike booth for photos? Yep, that's gonna be my transition to everything else. Like the pool. But it was closed for the season, which gave me a defeated sad face walking back to the casino floor after finding that out. What was interesting though was the sign that said to visit the MGM Grand Pool. But that was the first hotel I stayed on my trip, and their pool was closed for the season too. So imagine walking 20 minutes from the Excalibur to the Grand's pool, only to find out it was closed. Man, that would suck big time. On the bright side, there was a decent sized gym room with all the basics and treadmills to get my cardio in. But I found it quite sad that the window view was of the closed off pool, although I bet it'll be way better in the summertime. Other activities included a sizable arcade that could be found on the basement floor. It sounds like it'd be a creepy place to get to, but it was right by the entrance. There was a Dairy Queen to act as a beacon of hope for lost wanderers, hungry travelers, or both. I was pretty surprised at how big the arcade was. Guess I didn't expect to find an arcade within a castle. Besides all the fun looking games and some I'd see at my local carnival, a dinner show appropriately named Tournament of Kings could be had, but beware. It looked to be quite the popular show. Opposite of the basement was the second floor, which I must say was not obvious to get to because the escalator was located in the middle of the casino floor. It sort of felt like a mall lined with touristy shops, but this was also where most of the food was located, including the buffet. There was also a second Starbucks here just in case you missed the one on the first floor. Besides the buffet, the food court had a welcome selection from sandwiches to Chinese, and my favorite, a bagel sandwich for breakfast and a banana strawberry smoothie to wash it all down. Also on the second floor was the connection to the Luxor. The lead up at first was pretty uneventful, unless I counted the Tron-like VR seats, which was really fun to watch when people were in their roller coaster game, screaming their heads off. That gave everyone walking by free laughs, including myself. Anyway, as I got closer to the pyramid, bam! I was greeted by a rolling platform that carried me the rest of the way to the Luxor like a rolling magic carpet. Sorry Aladdin, we don't have flying carpets just yet. It was so cool to see the big Egyptian themed room. The columns had hieroglyphs and there were these blue tanks of what I assume to be water powered by LEDs to create an incredible atmosphere. I'll be going over the Luxor in my next video, so watch out for that. Now outside the property was also another rolling platform, somewhere between the New York and the Excalibur, which was quite the experience to be rolled in like that, kind of what I imagine a poor man's red carpet experience to be like. Something I gotta mention was this hobbit looking entrance that made me curious to know what the heck was inside. It was probably a dungeon room inhabited by a spandex wearing hobbit. Yeah, let's go with that. There wasn't much else to do after stepping outside the property, but the New York and the MGM Grand were nearby, so that was a plus. An even bigger plus was the monorail connection between the Excalibur, Luxor, and Mandalay Bay properties. But I really hope one day that they connect it to the rest of the hotel casinos on the same side of the strip. Like the other monorail that goes from the MGM Grand to the Sahara. That was a genius move that made it much more faster for me to get from the Venetian from the Grand. Overall, my experience at the Excalibur was pretty meh. It somehow missed that wow, this is awesome factor for me, and the hotel room didn't help either. Maybe that's why the cost was $88 for my night stay, but I would definitely not want to stay there again unless there was a damsel in distress. Then maybe.